They are always supposed to be prepared.
Yeah, these are pretty well brand new scouts.
Are they tigers?
No, no, they're scouts. They're not cubs.
Are they tenderfoot or second class?
They're just
They're
scouts.
tenderfoots right now. They have just about ready to rank up, but right now they're just tenderfoots.
Spent 7 years in the Scouts. Good endeavor.
Good. May I ask what unit you was with?
Well, I was in Illinois when I was growing up.
Oh.
Still growing up, and I'm in Ohio.
Mm.
276, House South School. That was my troop.
We're good, Mr. Burger. We're live.
Is
7:30.
Is it? Ladies and gentlemen, I see by the clock on the wall that it's 7:30. So I just would ask those who are tuned in to remember that what you say and scooting around and so forth in your home will cause a lot of noise in the system. So if you will, be as attentive and quiet as you can. I would like to call this meeting of Greenville City Council to order. Have the clerk call the roll, please.
Schmidt,
Here.
Whitaker,
Here.
Wright, Baumgardner,
Here.
Godwin,
Here.
Howdy Show,
Here.
Rogers.
Here. Okay, Mr. Wright is absent this evening. Okay, I would ask that we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Approval of minutes, you all received copies of the last meeting minutes. Any additions or corrections? Seeing none, they will stand approved as presented. Approval of the current financial report. You've received copies of the current. Where's all that noise coming from? You all received copies of the current financial report. Any additions or corrections or questions? If there are none, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Whitaker to approve the current financial report from the auditor's office. Discussion. Call the roll, please.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Baumgardner,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Howdy Show,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes. Approval of the agenda. At the present time, I have nothing to add or delete from to the agenda or from the agenda. I haven't had a chance to confer with the clerk. I saw with her this afternoon. She said as of this afternoon, about 3 o'clock, everything was okay, but are there any changes?
No.
Okay, thank you. Seeing none, the agenda is presented.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion by Mr. Schmidt to approve the agenda as presented. Discussion. Call the roll, please.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Baumgardner,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Howdy Show,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes. Okay, moving on, public hearing. We have some zoning recommendations, and I'm going to defer to the law director at this time and the mayor because they have something from zoning and planning, I believe, that they'd like to share with council at this time before we go into the open public session. So
Yeah,
who would like to lead off here?
I'll go ahead and start. And so,
Okay, go ahead, Mike.
so what we have before council is Planning and Zoning Commission made 2 recommendations to council for revisions to the zoning ordinance. The first is a revision to regulate donation bins. What that legislation will do will regulate donation bins that are in excess of 5 cubic feet, and it's unattended donation bins. So if you're looking around town, the Radiant Lighthouse, food donation, little pop-up shelters would be excluded from this. What we're trying to do is regulate unattended donation bins that are more of a dumpster style that tend to accumulate trash in front of them. So that's the first recommendation for a change in legislation. And then the second is commercial fencing. Currently, the city of Greenville only has regulations regarding residential fencing. This imposes some regulations on commercial fencing and allows the Planning and Zoning Department, it gives them the ability to approve those as well, so that we can have some uniformity in what we're doing in the city. That proposed legislation hopefully was distributed to everybody. If there's no public comments to the contrary of what we propose to do, we would have the formal legislation for approval at the next council meeting.
I'd just like to ask the question on the commercial fencing part of it. Are we having issues or problems with that? Is the reason why it's came up? I know about the donation bins. We've had problems with those. So I figured there's
absolutely
commercial fencing too.
It wasn't so much as that there were problems with the commercial fencing, Mr. Godwin. I think the issue was that because there was no regulation at all, there was the hope to, because we regulate residential fencing, to at least have some kind of say in the fencing that is put up around town on commercial properties, especially when we've got commercial districts that are kind of intertwined with residential neighborhoods. So I think the Planning and Zoning Commission felt that because we're regulating a residential fence right beside a commercial property, and we can, require that homeowner to make their fence look a certain way, that they were concerned that the commercial property right next door could just put up whatever they want, be it a 10-foot barbed wire fence or whatever it may be. So this just it allows some control in that to kind of create a uniform look around town.
Okay.
Further questions?
Mr. Reedman, how big are those when we regulate the donation bins that are unattended, how big of an area did you say?
So right now, what is currently exempted as the legislation was proposed is 5 cubic feet. And I think that was, the hope with that was to make sure that we're not infringing upon the people, again, doing the Radiant Lighthouse or the little library on a post things. We certainly appreciate the efforts that have been made to do that. We just don't want somebody throwing a dumpster out and collecting trash, which we have had some issues with.
Yeah, good, thanks.
And I guess I should further say this, the legislation on the donation bins doesn't exclude those types of donation bins. It just puts in place a permitting process that people have to go through. So we're not saying no, we're just looking for some responsibility and some ownership when people are putting them out.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. Well, the ownership of not only the people that put the bins out, but also the property owner. Well, they'll have to share in the responsibility of making sure that keeps cleaned up. So we've been working on it for a while. So we're looking forward to being that passed, or both of them being that passed. Thanks. Okay, anything further on that? Okay, we will move the agenda and open it up to anyone wishing to address council at this time. Please state your name and address and your situation. So Anyone wishing to address council on any subject?
Yes, my name is Mark Gates, 320 12th Street.
I'm sorry, what was the address again?
320 12th Street.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to say thank you for having us tonight. We are 373. And we are just grateful for the support that we've had so far with Greenville and with the city. And hopefully we have a long run with the city. So, but mainly I would like to ask my scouts, if you are watching, please make sure your mics are off. And once this portion is done, if you'd like to shut your video off and just please continue watching the rest of the meeting. So yes, this was, sorry, I kind of addressed our unit, but I want to make sure that your meeting is not interrupted. But I want to thank the mayor for everything that he's done for us and the city council. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I would just like to comment. We have several active, good scout troops here in the city, and I'm very appreciative of that, having helped with one a lot of years ago when my boys were involved. And we do have a lot of good things happening with the scout troops here. So thank you for your involvement in the community and your support of all the efforts. So thanks for coming, and thanks for being a part of our meeting tonight.
How many scouts are in your troop?
We are running about 10 to 12 boys right now.
Good.
Okay.
So we are trying to be as active as we can during this time. We have taken advantage of several things within Greenville. A great shout out to the Darke County Parks. We've done a service project for them. They have stepped it up and they have helped us out. We was able to do a really nice kayak trip with them this summer. People are not taking advantage of our Darke County parks. They're really missing out. We got great people out there that's working very very hard for us. And we just cannot say enough for all the people that's out there and the volunteers that go out there and put on all the wonderful events that we miss. You don't realize what you have until it's gone. And that is a real shame. But hopefully what we can take away from this time, that what we haven't been able to have, is when it does finally come back, appreciate it more and use it more. Like Prairie Day. I greatly miss Prairie Days. Our Scoutmaster Rick, that is on here also, he goes out there and helps the last several years make syrup for it's just a great thing that we have here in Darke County. And I don't think everybody realizes that a lot of counties don't have what we have. And we really do need to appreciate the leadership that we have for providing these things for us. The trails that we have, it's just a wonderful programs that, like I said, if you're not taking advantage of these things, you're really missing out.
You're to be commended, you guys, so keep it up.
We appreciate everything that is done for us, and we try to give back as much as we can.
Rick Normile here. I just wanted to say the same. I thank everybody too. And if the Boy Scouts can give more to the community, please get a hold of us and let us know what we can help and do for you.
Rick, Mr. Normell, may we have your name or your address, please?
My name is Rick Normile, 7216 Children's Home, Bradford Road.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
That all goes in the record, so we have an exact record of everyone addressing council. Anyone else wishing to address council at this time? Well, seeing no one coming forward or starting to speak, we will move the agenda and continue with administrative reports. Mr. Mayor. Well, that was the one thing that I had on my note that I was going to bring up for Mark. Mark Gates stopped in to see us today and told us a little about this. Members of his troop was going to be here with us to observe. And so we really appreciate that. I just want to bring it up again that we appreciate them coming. That's Troop 373, sponsored by the Moose. And checking in, they're working on their citizenship and community merit badge. So hope it goes well. I'm sure they will be busy taking care of that as we go along. So Mark, thanks for bringing them. Rick, you too. Thanks for coming and sharing. Appreciate it. Now, Pastor.
Thank you, Mayor.
Safety Service Director, Mr. Delk.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I've had a few businesses and a couple of citizens reach out. So the DORA that we passed for the downtown outdoor refreshment area, it's been brought to our attention that parks are excluded. So parks are, alcohol is prohibited in all parks, and we have a couple parks downtown, YOLO, Annie Oakley, and Rotary Park. And they were questioning, if that was something that council would be interested in amending that ordinance to allow the DORA to take place in the downtown parks. I just kind of wanted to bring it to you guys' attention and see if you wanted me to take it any further than that, or if it was something you weren't interested in doing.
Is that part of the state recommendation on the DORA? Do you know? I'm not familiar with that.
No, it's just an ordinance that we have on the books as a city that prohibits alcohol in any parks.
Oh, okay.
The Rotary Park's not ours. It's not in the park system. It's a city.
Right.
It's not a park. It's not in the our park.
But the city parks does include the
Annie Oakley
Oakley statue and the
YOLO
YOLO Park.
Park where you
That's
call it.
under the auspices of the Greenville City Park Board.
Right.
Okay.
I think we should look at it.
Do you think that is something that would be equal to a committee assignment by Committee on Issues of Zoning and Planning?
I think we could.
Or law?
I think either
I
one.
think either one would be acceptable. It's in terms of amending that ordinance, would be a simple thing to do if council was interested. But I think if you refer to either committee, they could have a thoughtful discussion on whether or not they wanted to move forward.
Okay, so Mrs. Howdeshell, I'm going to sign that issues of zoning and planning and governmental relations. Mrs. Howdeshell is the chairperson. Vice chairman is Mr. Godwin and member is Mr. Schmidt. Mrs. Howdeshell, can you commandeer that group together and get that accomplished sometime between now and 1987 or something like that?
I think 1987's already passed us.
Oh, really? I guess it did. Yes.
Yes, when do you want it? Next meeting or the second meeting in November?
Let's look at second meeting in November would probably work.
Okay.
Is that acceptable?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
The only thing that I would think about the YOLO Park, it's kind of a family oriented situation, and I'd hate to see that get out of hand there.
I think it's something we can always change back to where it was if it did get on hand.
I think it's gone really well. I mean, we haven't had really any problems at all. So, I mean, we haven't had it for a whole summer, but then, I mean, it's really worked out really well, particularly for the merchants that do it. So, yeah, we'll let the committee look at it.
Well, yeah, let's let the committee handle that and we'll go from there. Okay,
Okay, all right. Next, so just so everyone is aware, the city as a whole has about 6 retirements coming within the next 4 to 6 months from the police department, wastewater, water up here at the city building. So we're going to be working very hard to replace all of those positions. And it's going to be quite the process, but we're going to work on getting through it. And all of our projects are kind of coming to a close as far as 2020 goes, with our clarifier project, our Wagner Avenue project, our water main, creek crossing project. All those are starting to wrap up, but we're starting to ramp up for our 2021 project. So right now in the books, we have, we're going to be working on our UV project down at wastewater, park splash pad. We have probably over $1 million worth of maintenance paving that we're going to have to get accomplished in 2021. So shaping up to be another extremely busy year. And last but not least, the council chambers. So the sound system has been installed. We have all the wiring ran. They're coming in tomorrow to install the camera system. And if everything goes well, I'm hoping to kind of test everything the end of next week, first of the next. And if council wishes, obviously it's totally up to all of you to start having in-person meetings, the first meeting in November. I think we still need to Zoom for the public viewing portion, and we'll still do on either Facebook Live or our YouTube channel as far as the streaming side of things go. So I guess here over the next week or two, and I don't want to step on President Burkett's toes, but like maybe we can communicate on who wishes to come in so we can see what kind of accommodations that we want to move forward with as far as social distancing up in council chambers. And with that, I will pass.
Okay, thank you. It's something that we I can work for. And again, if you're not comfortable with that as an individual council member, we do have the prerogative of continuing to Zoom. I think the communications will be a little better with the new sound system versus what we have here. And again, I don't know, I've not previewed anything other than the chamber itself with all the new microphones in, but I'm hoping that maybe with maybe some added barriers between council seats or something to that effect, or maybe just moving and spreading people out a little bit. Want anyone to feel pressure, and for heaven's sakes, if you don't feel well, don't show up. I mean, that's about the best advice I would have on a situation. So, you know, we'll see what happens, and again, I'll defer to the safety service director trying to getting things put together, and we can go from there if council wants to continue or at least look at that.
I would be in favor of meeting at the council chambers.
Okay.
Same here. I think probably maybe just spacing out rather than going to the expense of some barriers.
Okay. Well, we'll see what we can work out. Maybe we can go to Eichenberry's and get some old Wheaties boxes and cut them up and make barriers out of them. I don't know. We'll work something out. Okay.
Are we putting them over our heads?
However you choose. This is out of jail. Okay, law director.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I wanted to touch on just kind of one topic this evening and bring it to council's attention. is currently in the city, we have two community reinvestment areas, or CRAs. And essentially what that does is it's based geographically on the city, and it allows us to offer real estate tax incentives to individuals that are redeveloping or developing properties in the city. And so we've had a couple individuals come to us interested in that program. It's actually been a program that's been on the books since the late 90s. Currently, nobody's involved in the program. We don't have any businesses that are taking advantage of it. And so when we were approached by the two separate individuals, it really made the city kind of look at what we have and if it's adequate and what we should do in the future. And so we've had some calls with the State Development Office, and we've looked at what other communities are doing. And there's no restrictions on community reinvestment areas. We get to set our own geographical location, and we get to say who can and can't qualify. And if you look at other communities, if you look at the village of Arcanum, if you look at the city of Troy, they've taken this opportunity to include the entire city to incentivize people essentially to fix up their house or to reinvest in building a business. And there's different ways that you can stretch that tax incentive out. There's a whole plethora of programs that you can run it into. But essentially what we came to realize with our program was, one, we've excluded all residential properties and we don't have to. And two, geographically, we don't encompass the entire city. And so I think it's at a point for us that the benefit that we would gain by being able to incentivize people to fix up their properties, to redevelop some properties in Greenville, far exceeds the difficulty we'd have in going back and amending these ordinances. And so we're really looking at that right now. And probably will come to council with a proposal to repeal the CRAs that we currently have and establish a bigger picture that would encompass kind of the entire city. That being said, the CRAs that we do have is sufficient for one of the individuals that's approached us. The way that works is we're able to offer them a real estate tax incentive based upon the amount of improvements that they make to the property that they have. We get to negotiate how many years that'll last and what the valuation of that improvement will be. And so right now we're kind of in that negotiation process with a business. It's an exciting thing to have somebody come in and expand to that extent. And so as we start to pin down some of those details, that does have to get approved by council. And so as that happens, we will be coming to council with a proposal that again kind of incentivizes that company to expand in our city, to create some jobs in our city. So it's all kind of exciting things. I think as an administration, we're looking at it as being able to promote fixing up some properties. For instance, if there's a vacant lot that's currently in town and we can incentivize somebody to build a new house on a vacant lot that's not necessarily a new development, or to tear down an arson, a house that's been plagued by fire damage, we can offer them the real estate taxes for the next 10 years or so based upon the current valuation. And you can imagine that can be a really significant savings. And so it helps us out and incentivizes somebody to fix a blighted property that may not be fixed otherwise. So I think we're pretty excited about the program and what we can do with it going forward. And hopefully you'll hear a lot more about it sooner than later.
Sounds good.
And that's all that I have.
All right. Thank you, sir. Any questions for the law director? Okay. All right. Next, we have City Auditor, Mrs. Woman.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I just wanted to notify council, since the last council meeting, I was notified by our state auditors that our 2019 audit is now completed. At this point in time, we're waiting for notification from the state that they're putting our audit report out on the state website. And at that point in time, I will put a release out in the paper for anyone who wants to go in on the website and review our report. It's in the books at this point, and in another couple of months, we'll be back again to start our 2020 audit. So I would advise everybody. And with that, I will pass.
The fun never stops.
Never stops.
Thank you very much. Interesting. Not only are we coming to the close of the year, in a couple of months, but we're also gearing up for 2021 appropriations and that whole endeavor too. So yeah, it's always a busy time, it seems like, in the city and the auditor's office, and appreciate everyone's cooperation. That concludes our administrative reports. Nothing under committee reports. We have 6 ordinances to consider tonight. So we'll start with an ordinance repealing and replacing ordinance number 2095, passed on September the 15th.
An ordinance repealing and replacing ordinance 2095 passed on September 15th, 2020 regarding additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Greenville, state of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2020. This ordinance repeals and replaces ordinance 2095 passed on September 15th, 2020 regarding additional appropriations for current expenses.
Make a motion to suspend the rules on this ordinance and read it by title only, second and third time.
Motion by Mr. Godwin to suspend the rules, read the ordinance by title second and third time. Discussion. Call the roll, please.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Baumgartner,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Abigail,
yes,
Rogers.
Yes.
An ordinance repealing and replacing ordinance 2095 passed on September 15, 2020 regarding additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Greenville, state of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2020. An ordinance repealing and replacing ordinance 2095 passed on September 15, 2020 regarding additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Greenville, state of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2020.
Move to
Move to
adopt the
adopt.
ordinance.
Who was that? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Rogers.
Rogers, Mr. Rogers. Okay, motion by Mr. Rogers to adopt the ordinance. Discussion?
I did have a quick question on these. What was the reasoning? I didn't see any reasoning behind it. What brought this on?
Basically, both of them were to get our coronavirus relief fund in the format to send in to the state. And hopefully it's done at this point. So should be
Yeah.
good to go.
Okay. Thank you.
Further discussion or questions? Call the roll, please.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Baumgartner,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Howdy Shell,
yes,
Rogers.
Yes.
Next, we have an ordinance repealing and replacing ordinance 20-67, which was passed on June 16th in 2020.
An ordinance repealing and replacing ordinance 2067 current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Greenville, state of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2020. This ordinance repeals or replaces ordinance 2067 passed on June 16th, 2020 regarding appropriations for current expenses.
Move to suspend the rules, give this second and third reading by title only.
Motion by Mr. Rogers to suspend the rules, read the ordinance by title second and third time. Discussion. Call the roll, please.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Baumgartner,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Howdy Shell,
yes,
Rogers.
Yes.
An ordinance repealing and replacing Ordinance 2067 passed on June 16, 2020 regarding additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Greenville, State of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2020. An ordinance repealing and replacing Ordinance 2067 passed on June 16, 2020 regarding additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Greenville, State of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2020.
Motion to
Move to
adopt.
adopt.
Motion from Mrs. Howdishell to adopt the ordinance. Discussion? Call a roll.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Baumgartner,
Yes.
Bachman,
Yes.
Audisha,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
And item 3, we have a supplemental appropriations ordinance.
An ordinance to make additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Greenville, State of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2020. The supplemental ordinance allows for appropriations in the general fund, sewage disposal fund, and the wastewater repairs and improvement fund as follows. Equipment repairs, police department in the amount of $1,976.87. These funds are needed for the repair of a damaged police cruiser and are being paid for with an insurance reimbursement. Transfers, sewage disposal in the amount of $1,481,351.62. These funds are needed for transfer to wastewater repairs and improvement fund. New equipment, wastewater repairs and improvement fund in the amount of $1,481,351.62. These funds are needed for the sanitary sewer lining, grouting, manhole rehabilitation, and ultraviolet projects.
Make a motion to suspend the rules on this supplemental ordinance and read it by title only, second and third time.
Motion from Mr. Godwin to suspend the rules, read the ordinance by title second and third time. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Baumgartner,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
An ordinance to make additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Greenville, State of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2020. An ordinance to make additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Greenville, State of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2020.
Move to adopt.
Motion from Mr. Baumgartner to adopt the ordinance. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Baumgartner,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Audisha,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Next, we have a transfer ordinance.
An ordinance for the transfer of funds among the appropriations of the various funds of the City of Greenville. This ordinance allows for transfers in the Coronavirus Relief Fund as follows. $295.36 from supplies coronavirus relief to salaries coronavirus relief. $5,677.09 from new equipment coronavirus relief to salaries coronavirus relief. These funds are needed to cover COVID-19 related salaries. $989.95 from salaries coronavirus relief fund to equipment repairs coronavirus relief fund. This transfer is needed to cover COVID-19 related repairs.
Move to
Move to
suspend the
suspend the rules, give this ordinance second and third reading by title only.
Motion from Mr. Rogers to suspend the rules and read the ordinance by title second and third time. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Baumgartner,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Audisha,
Yes.
and Rogers.
Yes.
An ordinance for the transfer of funds among the appropriations of the various funds of the City of Greenville. An ordinance for the transfer of funds among the appropriations of the various funds of the City of Greenville.
Motion to
Motion
adopt.
to adopt?
Motion by Mrs. Howdishell to adopt the ordinance. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Yes.
Baumgartner,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Audisha,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Now we have number 5, an ordinance authorizing the hiring of up to 3 part-time street maintenance workers.
An ordinance authorizing the hiring of up to 3 part-time street maintenance workers. This ordinance
Jessica, you kind of cut out there. Your
do you need
sound,
me to repeat it?
yes, please.
What, do you need me to repeat the whole thing?
No, just the ordinance authorizes the summary.
This ordinance authorizes the hire of 3 part-time street maintenance workers for an indefinite period.
Make a motion to suspend the rules on this ordinance and read it by title only, second and third time.
Motion, Mr. Godwin, to suspend the rules, read the ordinance by title second and third time. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Baumgartner,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing the hiring of up to 3 part-time street maintenance workers. An ordinance authorizing the hiring of up to 3 part-time street maintenance workers.
Motion to adopt.
Motion, Mrs. Howdeshell, to adopt the ordinance. Discussion?
Are they hiring these people for like snow removal or?
Yeah, so basically, a lot of them are already employees that will be transferred over. So normally they employ them as seasonal workers. Well, seasonal workers has an hour restrainment to it. So like seasonal workers are only allowed to work 1,100 hours a season. So this year, a lot of it because of coronavirus, and we weren't sure where the funding was going to be. The street department cut way back on their seasonal employees, and then had to hire and use a lot of their hours towards like cleaning park restrooms and playground equipment to keep the park rolling. So they've already maxed out their hours. So it's either hire all new and retrain or make these employees part-time where you can add to their hours, and then they'll be used for snow removal, mainly like sidewalks at the city building and the parks, the trails, leaf pickup. And when I say leaf pickup, like leaf mulching and pickup at the city building and out in all the parks. And then for any other needed maintenance items.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yep.
Further questions? So, okay, that's passed, right?
We need to call the roll.
Call the roll, please.
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Baumgartner,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Howdeshell,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Okay. And finally, we have an ordinance to amend ordinance 17-95 in order to establish a wastewater replacement and improvement fund.
An ordinance to amend ordinance 1795 in order to establish a wastewater replacement and improvement fund. This ordinance amends ordinance 1795 in order to reestablish the sanitary sewer lining project in the amount of $250,000, grouting and manhole rehabilitation project in the amount of $500,000, and ultraviolet light project in the amount of $1 million in the wastewater replacement and improvement fund.
Move to suspend the rules and give this ordinance a second and third reading by title only.
Mr. Whitaker to suspend the rules, read the ordinance by title second and third time. Discussion? Call a roll, please.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Baumgartner,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Howdeshell,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
An ordinance to amend ordinance 1795 in order to establish a wastewater replacement and improvement fund. An ordinance to amend ordinance 1795 in order to establish a wastewater replacement and improvement fund.
Motion to adopt.
Motion by Mr. Godwin to adopt. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Baumgartner,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Howdy Show,
Yes,
Rogers.
Yes.
Okay, that concludes our resolutions for this evening. Moving on, under old business, we have a couple of items. The one is the assignment request for Mayor Willman, from Mayor Willman regarding the Bish Boyer request on, was it March? Meeker Avenue.
Right.
That was that assigned to the Utilities Committee?
No, it wasn't.
Okay, well, we will assign that to the Utilities Committee. Ask you, can you have it back by the end of November?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. And then, item 2 there, Utilities Assignment Request. Yesterday, or last council meeting, the president got squirrely and checked out early, so I understand that this didn't get assigned. So I would like to make that assignment to the Utilities Committee to review that. And I think what we would like to do is at least get the ball rolling on some of these issues as quickly as possible. There's quite a lot to be done. I understand that. And we've already had meetings of the whole, but I would like for you to come back with some definite recommendations. We've heard everything from, tripling the water rates to not doing that significantly. So let's see if you can accomplish something here and come back to council with some recommendations that we need to consider. And I don't know if it's possible to do it by the end of the year, because something of this nature, we usually like to do it 3 separate readings rather than passing it with emergency clause and all of that, to give people the time to react to the possibility of the legislation. So keeping that in mind, if you could get that back to us as quickly as possible, that would be desirable. Can you do that, Mr. Godwin?
We'll see what we can do by the end of the year.
All right. That's Mr. Wright and Mr. Baumgartner. Okay, no items under new business. Items of communication.
We received the monthly report of September from Transit, the 4th quarter report from the fire department, and we have a zoning amendment recommendation for West Park Drive. Would you like me to read the letter?
Yes.
Honorable members of council, at the September 15th, 2020 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, Brandel LLC's Benjamin Randall request was heard for a zoning amendment for 0.25 acres lot at the west end of Park Drive. The physical address of the location is 339 West Park Drive. Members voted to send a favorable recommendation to City Council for the request to rezone the land from GI General Industrial to NB Neighborhood Business. In the following with the zoning regulations, Article 5 Amendment, Section 5.05, the Planning and Zoning Commission is hereby forwarding the recommendation to rezone the request to City Council. City Council, per zoning application as submitted by Benjamin Randall, property owner, is attached. From the Planning and Zoning Commission are also attached. Sincerely, Stephen Willman.
Okay, so we have to prepare the legislation and then set a public hearing. And the legislation has to be advertised for 30 days prior to the public hearing, and then we set the public hearing. I'd ask the law director, is that legislation prepared?
a minute and get on. Maybe you didn't hear it.
I don't see him on.
Well, there's a phone connection here, but evidently he's not available. Do you know if the legislation's been prepared?
I don't know. I'll find out. Give me a minute.
Okay.
Let's see if he's over there. He
Right.
might be in here.
Because let's see, this is the 20th, 17th. So we couldn't have a public hearing until actually December the 8th, even if the legislation was prepared now. But if it gets prepared before the 8th of November.
Yeah.
Huh?
It will be ready for the, yes, it's ready for the, after the 30 days and you can vote on it. It will be ready. It's ready. Yeah, it's ready.
It's ready now. Well, even at this date, the next
We
meeting,
still have to-
the meeting in November is the 17th. So that wouldn't give us the 30 days. But if I set it for December the 8th for the public hearing, so I'm going to ask the clerk to note that place a public hearing for that zoning amendment on the December 8th public hearing, please. Any questions from council regarding that issue?
Is that where the building burnt a few years ago?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Is it the corner of Park Drive and 49?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so we've set that public hearing. Anything else from the clerk?
No.
Okay, thank you.
John, is that the right one? December? Is it the first meeting?
Oh, I'm sorry, it is December, it's December the 1st.
Yeah, it's real quick.
Yeah,
Early December.
yes, I'm sorry, it'll be the December the 1st meeting. I don't know why I had that mismarked on my calendar. Because Tuesday is December the 1st. You'll have more shopping days then after that. Okay. If there's nothing further under communications, we will call down the council, please.
I was gonna ask about the trick or treat. I know there was something posted here a while back. Is that still on for this Sunday?
Yes. Yes, it's 6 to 8.
6 to 8. Wow.
6 to 8. Okay. I wanted to check on that. And I hadn't heard anything more. I just wanted to be sure it was still on. So thank you for that. And John, I'm glad to see you're feeling better.
Well, thank you.
With that, I will pass.
Whitaker,
Speaking of the holidays, President Burkett, despite our efforts of the past few years to have a holiday horse parade, we're not having a holiday horse parade this year, but on the 21st of November is a holiday horse event. And it should be a great evening. We just hope the weather holds out. We've had a little difficulty with the weather the last few years, and I think we've only had one holiday horse parade in that time. A couple of them been canceled. So despite COVID's attempt to postpone it, we're not going to let that happen, and hopefully it'll be a great evening. With that, I'll pass.
Thank you.
Baumgartner.
Okay, a couple things. I had a citizen call me today complaining because they saw a person dumping trash in the park dumpster. They had like 3 or 4 bags and boxes. Are we doing anything to prevent that? This citizen was upset because they pay for Rumpke to come and get theirs, and this, this car just pulled up and used the dumpster. Is there anything we can do, Mr. Delk?
Yes, so we have trail cams up at most of the dumpsters. It depends where it was, if we caught them on video. And then as long as we can get a decent license number, the police department will issue a citation for illegal dumping.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And then the other thing is, I always like to talk about something good going on. So we have Kenna Jenkins is going to state for the girls golf. So I want to wish her good luck and go Waves. And with that, I pass.
Godwin.
I'd just like to say thanks for everybody participating on Zoom tonight. And, like I said, at the last council meeting, I can't wait to get these meetings back in the council chambers. And with that, I'll pass.
Howdy Show.
Good to see you back, John. And with
Thank
that,
you.
I pass.
Rogers.
Yes, one thing that we're 14 days away from November 3rd, and I know there's a lot of people that's voting early, either in person or by mail-in ballot. So just keep up the good work and please vote. With that, I pass.
President Burkett.
I think I was looking back in my notes. I thought there was one, was there a meeting in September that Mr. Wright was not able to join us? Because I don't think we excused the absences for September, and we need to excuse the absences for October. So I think in order to cover our bases, we probably ought to put September and October in there as well.
I'll make that motion.
All right, motion by Mr. Bumgardner to excuse the absences for September and October. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Smith.
Yes.
Whitaker.
Yes.
Baumgartner.
Yes.
Godwin.
Yes.
Howdy Show.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Further, I'd like to take a moment to express my condolences, and I hope on behalf of a lot of the city folks on the passing of Mr. Richard Bonfiglio, or Richard Bud Bonfiglio, I should say. The Bonfiglios go back a long, long ways in the city of Greenville. They came into here and opened a pharmacy and were proprietors of that establishment for a lot of years. Bud in particular was very instrumental in getting the old cinder track, the 380-yard track that was at Harmon Field, originally expanded to a 400-meter track, number one, and then also it was covered with asphalt and a surfacing, a rubber surface, so we could have a, quote, all-weather track. And he was instrumental in getting a lot of that done. There were a lot of people besides Mr. Bonfiglio that participated, and we're forever grateful because it has helped, I think, the athletic program. And of course, we now have something completely different at the high school, but at least it was a start. And I think that it was absolutely wonderful. I happen to be in the position of athletic administrator, or AD, if you want to call it, at that time. Had the opportunity to fly with Clancy Plessinger. He was a Versailles track coach, and Clancy and I went up to Michigan, up around Lansing, to see a track that this Humphreys Hansen had put in. And we liked that surface, and that's what we went with. So Bud's did a lot community-wise, and I just think it's important that he and the family be recognized for all that he did. Additionally, I apologize for the crazy thing that happened the other night. I didn't know it, but I guess I caused some kind of consternation. But anyway, thank you for your concerns. I'm doing well. Just trying to make it through. I don't know through what, but trying to get through all of this stuff. But I appreciate your concerns. It's very meaningful. And I don't think I have anything else other than I concur with Mr. Rogers. Don't forget to vote, for heaven's sake. We have tremendous opportunities via early voting and via the mail. And please vote, like they say, vote early and vote often. So,
Motion to adjourn.
and anyway, there we go. So thank you. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Howdishell to adjourn. Call the roll, please.
Bennett,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Howdy
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Good night, all. See you.
Good night.
Good night.
Jessica,
Good night, everyone.
night,
Jessica, you
thank
still
you.
on there?
Yes.